Biddly 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 bo. Yes, yes, yo. Here we go. Reorganise this, bro. There ain't nobody down around here. You know what time it is. Saturday night up in this bitch. Get that badger in and on and over here. We had to move back to get his greatness in. I seem really that bit better, guys. Late start for me tonight, so I thought I'd do a late vid. I thought I'd do news at 9 o'clock for the quick shit vid. Got a little bit to rattle through. I'm watching Dave Allen tonight. I'm hoping Big Dave Allen gets the big win tonight. I do like Dave Allen, so if anybody's into the boxing, yeah, you motherfucker, fucking 1-2 straight out, pipe posh. Yes, Bielsa being Bielsa, doing his thing again. Like I just thought, it's worth always talking about Bielsa, isn't it? But he's basically the Leeds United supporters club in Malaysia. I've seen this going around online. He's basically spent a few hours with them, chatting, answering questions. I would imagine signing autographs, all full job lot of it. He said he will always feel a connection to the club, and I can honestly and easily say he's my favourite manager in our history. Certainly for me, no one comes close for me, but Bielsa was so much more Leeds United than even Bielsa understands. I honestly do believe that. I know I talk about it. Maybe I haven't spoke about him for about a year. Missed talking about him, but I just remember when he did the the Spygate thing, and then he came out I remember we were all in pub and we were like waiting for this press conference thinking like, is he going to jack it in or something? Like, you just don't know what you were going to get from him, do you? And then he just comes out with his spreadsheet and just gives it the big one basically to Big Fat Frank. And we were literally all belly laughing in pub. And I don't think he meant to be funny doing it. It was just like, I'll just prove my point. I'll just tell the truth. I always thought he had interesting thoughts on the players playing. If they want to save their legs and have to play less, just pay them less and we'll have less games and all the rest of it. Always thought he had interesting takes on things. I think he's one of them human beings that really, I think, even though football is absolute life and unbelievably important to him, he strikes me as the type of guy where if you're not creating good human beings, then what is the point in all this stuff? You can throw as much money at these young lads and stuff as you want, but if you're not creating decent, nice human beings to move forward in their life, then what are we actually doing? I don't know why I've equated that to Bielsa, but I just feel like that's the type of gadget that he is. I'd still love him to come back, but ultimately, with the way we're going, and it's the end of the era in it, so and he's getting older himself. I wish him the very best at Uruguay. I'd still take him back, with open arms. I'd be absolutely delighted. It's just I'd fear that it'd go a little bit tits up, or if you can't get the players to buy into it or whatever. And I know a lot of people will obviously talk about Don Revie and stuff, but that's obviously before my time. And Bielsa just brought that spark back to the city as well. Like, he got everybody's birds talking about, your mate's bird in pub on about, oh, is that Bielsa guy? Glasses and funky like sideward glasses after Man City win and stuff. And he clearly got a big shoulder off somebody and he's crooked glasses, and then he still had the same pair on week after. So I just loved everything about him. Obviously the bucket, and it's just nice to reminisce. He's a mint part of our history. It's not just like, I actually think Farke suffers a little bit for being in Bielsa's shadow, because I think we'd probably love Farke's demeanour and manner more as a whole, as a fan base, if we'd have done what he'd done without Bielsa's being here. I think we've been sort of spoiled as a fan base, and the younger lads and lasses that watch Leeds United, if you're 20, you've witnessed Bielsa, haven't you? So one thing I would say about Leeds, I think, even though we've collapsed in certain for a decade, over a decade, I think everybody, every age bracket, we all have a pretty good, like my youth was David O'Leary. Before that is obviously Howard Wilkinson. Before that, Don Revie. So, like in terms of leaps to being decent. So every age bracket we've had like a good patch, haven't we? And we're currently back in one. And I actually think we can go on to be a force again, really, truth be told. I don't see why we can't emulate what Aston Villa have done or what Newcastle are doing to some extent. I know Newcastle have got more money, but they don't really, because of how the financial fair play works out and all that stuff. But I'm going off on a ramble now, but apologies. But yeah, basically, I'm just trying to say, we keep bouncing back, don't we? We go when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and we seem to hang around and rejuvenate ourselves, because you can get lost in the abyss. And I've said this 1,000 times, but if Bielsa hadn't done it, if he hadn't gone up in that second season, he'd have left, and I do not know where we would be now. sometimes you've got to think you're shit just by coming out of Premier League and then going straight back up. Yes, it took us 2 seasons, and Daniel Farke did a tremendous job to get us back up, but we were solid straight away. I remember when we first went down, when we got relegated, when we were in administration, and I can't remember the first game of the season, but it was the first kickoff, first game kickoff, early kickoff or whatever, the opening weekend. We got beaten. I just thought, oh my God, this is going to be absolutely hellacious. But so we're here now, we're back in Prem. 49ers watch. I think it's worth just mentioning, because this has just come up in news, that Gerrard has turned down Rangers, which I think is a bit mental, isn't it? I wonder what it's all about, really, because, he was on his podcast he was on that podcast with Rio Ferdinand where he banging on, giving it large. I don't know if he mentioned Rangers or not. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was definitely suggested that if Rangers came a calling, that he'd take the job. Now, maybe Rangers have gone in and lowballed him a little bit on the basis that it's, who are you now, Steven Gerrard? Do you know what I mean? He's been to Saudi. He didn't tear it up at Aston Villa. He's admitted that it went wrong at Aston Villa. Obviously did well at Rangers, but I think, it's a 2-horse race, isn't it? If you can't sort of do well in Scotland, you bang up against it, aren't you? If you're not finishing second, you're not challenging for the title. Do you know what I mean? So it's you don't even have to win it, really. I mean, I think did he win it in the second year, maybe? I think they had a bit of a good fist of it, but I'd just be interested to know what details come out about that, and whether it's 49ers just really not showing much ambition up there, or Gerrard wanting more than they're willing to give him when they just think, we'll just get another Russell Martin and see how that goes. So what are your thoughts on that? Chris Wood, we spoke about yesterday, but it's popping off more and more often now in articles. I think they're just clutching at straws a little bit, but he hasn't been used much by the serial winner, Big Ange. So he's not, I think he's only had 45 minutes in each game since, or more or less 45 minutes in each game since, or it might have amounted 45 minutes. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't check the stats, but I just saw the headline. He's not been used, as he, by Big Ange, but I can't see Big Ange being there for long. The serial winner, he'll be off to bigger and better pastures new, I would imagine. There's been some talk of just Joshua Zirkzee on a loan deal in January. Now, this is a weird one, because, really, that's the type of player that we was potentially on about in summer, where you just think, can we get a reject in, somebody that's not done well at a club, or they've shown little glimpses. Now, Zirkzee's shown no glimpses for me. Every time I've ever watched him play for Man United, I've always thought, no, there's not a lot there for me. But really, what bigger player could you sort of attract in January, particularly on a loan deal? I don't know whether he'd be up for it. I actually think as well, because apparently it's been Amarin, he's been pushed right now. Well, not apparently, he's definitely been pushed all the way down the pecking order because of Cunha and whoever else have got, and Buemo and all them gadgets that have come in, and that Seco, whatever you call him, up top. So he's been pushed down the pecking order now. And Amarin said he needs to go out and get some game time if he wants to ever be featured in Man United's future. But it's sort of like a weird one. Like, I think we'll have more of a knowledge, to be honest, once we get into December. I think we'll know who we can actually attract in January. If we are still sort of hovering around 10th in league, I think players will want to come play for us. They'll just think, I reckon I can get in this side. They're solid. They're going to give me a bit of freedom to get forward. Okafor's got that little bit of a license to get forward. And Zirkzee probably have a look at it and think, well, Leeds are a decent side, good atmosphere at home, solid team, don't concede many goals. I can come in and sort of make a change. And also, Man United's been a graveyard, hasn't it, for, I don't want to say hundreds of players, but tens of players, 20, 30 players. I can't think of all 20, 30, but, you think of some big names like Di Maria, that just could not do it at Man United. Started well. They all seem to start well. Even Sancho started well. He came on, had loads of energy, and then they just seem to sap into shit, don't they? Rashford's obviously gone down pan at Man United. Mason Mount's had his injuries in that, but he's a decent player and he's not been able to do it. But none of them, literally, Højlund, they've all come over and then they've all gone on and actually done all right, haven't they? I mean, Anthony's getting hailed as like the best player that's ever left Man United for Real Betis or wherever he's at. So, they all seem to do well. Højlund's getting goals in Champions League and stuff. So it's just an interesting, what do you think? I'd take it. And I just want to give an honourable mention to Goodmanson, because he doesn't half get some right shit, when he's out on international duty. He got it last time. To be fair, this time it's been mixed reviews on his performance. I think it's more that just Sweden are absolutely shit at the minute, to be fair. They got beat 2-0 and to Switzerland, I think. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, as long as he stays injury-free and he's playing well, I couldn't, as you can imagine, give one single shit. Could you? So, yeah, that's the roundup. That's the 9 o'clock news, even though it's only 9 o'clock for me and it'll be 9:30 for you once the video's been uploaded. In a bit, dog shit. Keep liking and subscribing. Get them views up for me, guys. It's much appreciated. The international break's normally horrible for videos, but I thought something comes up, it must come out. I nearly didn't do a video. Then I thought, just drop in with boyos. Drop in. Take it easy. In a bit.
Boom.